Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. You are listening to The Daily Dog with your host, Michele Forto. The Daily Dog offers training advice, tips and tricks, and maybe even a book or movie review, too. From Dogworks Radio, sponsored by Alaska Dogworks, professional dog training in Anchorage, Alaska. This is the Team Ineka podcast. On the show, we tell stories from the trail, race recaps, and of course, stories about our dogs. Visit our website at teamineka.com. Now, here are your hosts, Robert and Michele Forto.
Hello and welcome, everybody. You are listening to the Team Ineka podcast. It is a show about the dogs of our kennel, and today we're talking about one of the original members of Team Ineka, Denali. I am joined by my co-host, wife, and kennel partner, Michele. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, but not only is the show about dogs, it's going to be about our adventures out on the trails as well.
It is, but before we get there, because it is the middle of summer when we're recording this one, I want to tell the story about Denali.
Denali is an original member of Team Ineka, and Robert obtained him from our friend Hugh up in Tok, Alaska.
That's right. Denali arrived with Sydney, Spencer, and Ringo well before you even moved to Alaska, didn't he?
Yes, that whole crew plus Shifter was already here when I came up, and little Reagan got to learn from all of them.
I spent my first 2 winters with this crew at a kennel here in the neighborhood, and we learned the ropes of Alaskan mushing. We learned all the trails, and Denali quickly became my go-to lead dog.
He did, and not only that, but he also was teaching Reagan some of the ropes as well.
I remember it was the first time I ever had Reagan in harness. I hooked her up beside Denali and took her out for a little run. Those first 2 winters, we were training dogs for the Serum Run expedition, which was a 675-mile run in the wilderness of Alaska. Our goal was to have all of our dogs on the teams as well. Unfortunately, Denali didn't make the cut.
I remember the first time I met Denali, and I was quite puzzled because Robert kept describing him as a clown face, and I had no idea what that meant until I met him. A clown face, apparently, is a dog that has an all-white face, and typically both eyes are blue. Denali is also red with some brown mixed in, and he is a beautiful dog, but not only are his eyes blue, one is slightly crossed too, which makes his goofy clown face even more lovable.
I call him a clown face because he reminds me of the clown in the Stephen King story, It.
Oh, no, he's not like that at all. Denali is very sweet.
Finally, Michele was here in Alaska full-time, and we started building our kennel here on our own property. Those first few years, Denali was my go-to main leader on all of our teams. He ran just about in every training run and every race that I competed in. Our first race together was the Don Bowers 200 when I was still working over at the neighbor's kennel. What an experience that was. It was my first distance race here in Alaska, and it was an eye-opener, wasn't it, Michele?
I would say so. It was also your first distance race using Alaskan Huskies instead of Siberian Huskies, which for all points and purposes is a completely different beast, wouldn't you say so?
It was for sure. With that race under our belt and a little experience, it was time to move over to our own kennel. Over the next couple of years, Denali was our go-to leader and ran in races like the Goose Bay 150 and the Knik 200. We had our ups and downs, we scratched a few times, but I will never forget that magical night on the Goose Bay 150 trail. We will tell that story right after the break.
Team Ineka and Robert Forto are training for the Iditarod and are looking for corporate and individual sponsors to help chase this dream. Running the race is the easy part. Proper year-round care can cost upwards of $30,000. From feeding, vet care, travel to races, and more, we give the dogs the best. There are several sponsorship levels to choose from. Check out our website at teamineka.com. We will see you on the trail. Mosh, you Huskies! Gee-haw!
And we are back, and we are going to continue our story about Denali on the Team Ineka podcast. When we left off, Robert was talking about his race, the Goose Bay 150, and some magical night.
It certainly was a magical night. It was my first Iditarod qualifier, the Goose Bay 150. We started at the tug bar and jumped on the original Iditarod trail, a trail full of ups and downs hills as it worked its way towards the Big Sioux River. We crossed over and headed towards the Eagle Song checkpoint on the original Iditarod trail. It was late when I finished up my chores and got ready to take a nap along with the dog team. I remember distinctly sitting beside all of the dogs and giving them a pet, including my buddy Denali. In the middle of the night it had started to snow, and I lifted my head up underneath the parka and saw the most amazing northern lights I'd ever seen. It was truly a magical night. Michelle, what is your favorite story about our buddy Denali?
One of my favorite memories of Denali when he was running is how easy it is to harness him and lead him up to the beginning of the team while he would line out and hold the rest of those crazy dogs, waiting for Robert to get ready to take off down the trail. Denali always brought a feeling of tranquility and peace to the chaos that is taking off out of the chute.
Denali is getting older and he's ready to retire, but he still wants to run. But I don't think that's possible anymore. Do you, Michelle?
I don't think so. We believe that the dogs should live out their life here in our kennel at Team Ineka, and we try to let them have as much enjoyment, especially later in life, without causing them any harm or undue reason to have injuries. It would not be wise for Denali to continue down the trail this coming season, maybe for a quick little run with the bike, but not pulling a sled any longer, nor should he be in the team any longer. He's just gotten too old. Not only that, but a few years ago, he underwent some really cool treatments with the vet, didn't he?
He did. He was the first and only dog that we've ever had that got the full spa laser treatment.
That's right. And he has some really cool goggles that he got to wear. And those pictures you can find over on our Team Ineka Facebook page. Go check that out for us while we continue the story.
There is more to the story about Denali, and it was his friendship with his buddy Ringo.
That's right. Ringo, probably Denali's best friend, was a very special dog.
So guys, that is the story of Denali. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check out our other podcasts over on DogWorks Radio and follow us along on dogworksradio.com. Michelle, anything in closing?
Just remember that every dog will touch your heart in different ways.
We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Did you know that Alaska Dog Works trains service dogs for those in need throughout North America? Each and every service dog that is trained through the Lead Dog Service Dog Program and Michelle Forto and her team has an individual training plan. We train for autistic, mobility, psychiatric, and PTSD for our soldiers for service work. If you know of someone that may need a service dog, please take a moment and check out Alaska Dog Works on social media and at alaskadogworks.com.
If you like our podcast, there are a few things you can do. You can take a couple of minutes and go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also check out all of our DogWorks Radio sponsors and promotions in our show notes. Another thing you can do is go over to Facebook, like our Facebook page, and one last thing, please tell all of your friends by spreading the word about DogWorks Radio. Thank you so much for listening to us. We really appreciate you.
DogWorks Radio is produced by Robert Forto. Logo art by Angry Squirrel Studios. DogWorks Radio is produced in conjunction with KVRF 89.7 in Palmer, Alaska.
For dog training advice, you can contact Alaska Dog Works at 907-841-1686 or visit their website at alaskadogworks.com. If you have a show idea or would like to be a guest, please contact us by sending an email to live at dogworksradio.com.